Travis Kelce, the Kansas City Chiefs star tight end and a central figure in their offensive strategy, has been suspended, creating an immediate crisis for the team. This suspension disrupts the Chiefs' established dynamics, removing a player who consistently attracts defensive attention and creates scoring opportunities. Patrick Mahomes, already a high-performing quarterback, now faces the challenge of adapting to a drastically altered offense. The team's coaches must reevaluate play calling, redistributing responsibilities among secondary receivers and tight ends. Offensive schemes that relied heavily on Kelce's versatility and red zone efficiency require urgent revision. The suspension also impacts team morale, testing leadership and cohesion under unexpected pressure. Opponents are likely to exploit this weakness, focusing coverage on remaining offensive weapons and pressuring Mahomes into high-risk situations. The timing of this suspension amplifies its significance, potentially influencing upcoming games and playoff positioning. How the Chiefs respond will reveal the resilience of both Mahomes and the supporting cast. Every aspect of offensive preparation, execution, and strategic planning is now under heightened scrutiny. With Kelce's absence reshaping the immediate trajectory of the franchise, Kelce's suspension forces Kansas City to significantly adjust its offensive approach. The team can no longer rely on a primary target who consistently creates mismatches against linebackers and safeties. Play designs must incorporate shorter passes, increased motion, and diversified receiver routes to maintain efficiency. Patrick Mahomes must adapt, reading defenses more rapidly and making precise decisions under pressure. Backup tight ends and wide receivers are expected to step into pivotal roles, requiring instant chemistry and trust with the quarterback. Offensive line performance becomes even more crucial, providing protection as Mahomes searches for open targets. Red zone strategy must evolve, relying on alternative personnel and creative formations to sustain scoring opportunities. Every play now carries amplified consequence, as mistakes could be exploited by opposing defenses aware of the missing star. Coaches must balance aggression with caution, leveraging strategic versatility to compensate for the loss. Communication, discipline, and execution will determine whether the Chiefs maintain offensive momentum. The team's adaptability, coordination, and resilience under these circumstances will be tested more intensely than ever. Defining the immediate success of the season, Patrick Mahomes' leadership will be the decisive factor in navigating this crisis. With Kelce suspended, Mahomes must elevate his role, guiding the offense through uncharted territory and instilling confidence in less experienced receivers. His decision-making, both in reading defenses and managing timing, becomes even more critical. Mahomes must adapt on the fly, identifying mismatches, adjusting plays at the line of scrimmage, and improvising when primary targets are unavailable. Leadership extends beyond execution. It includes motivating teammates, maintaining morale, and ensuring cohesion during adversity. The quarterback's ability to communicate effectively with coaches and players will influence the offense's rhythm and efficiency. Defensive coordinators will test this vulnerability, applying pressure and exploiting the absence of a dominant tight end. Mahomes' poise, adaptability, and ability to inspire teammates under increased scrutiny will determine whether the Chiefs remain competitive. Every throw, read, and audible reflects both his skill and his leadership. How Mahomes manages this transition may redefine his influence on the team, showcasing resilience and strategic acumen under one of the most challenging situations of his career. The absence of Kelce places an unprecedented burden on secondary offensive targets. Wide receivers and backup tight ends must expand their responsibilities, execute precise routes, and maintain reliable hands. Timing between Mahomes and these players becomes critical to preserve offensive rhythm. Every reception, route, and separation matters more, as defenses focus coverage on fewer available threats. Receivers must exploit gaps, read defensive adjustments, and create space for Mahomes' passes under pressure. Their ability to perform consistently will determine the team's ability to sustain drives and convert scoring opportunities. Coaches are likely to increase practice emphasis on route precision, reading coverages, and red zone execution. The success of these secondary players hinges on preparation, situational awareness, and adaptability during live gameplay. Their performance will directly influence Mahomes' efficiency, the team's scoring output, and the overall competitiveness of the offense. In a season where Kelce's influence is temporarily removed, the Chiefs' reliance on these players intensifies, requiring poise, discipline, and execution under pressure. Each contribution becomes a critical factor in determining whether Kansas City can maintain offensive potency despite the sudden loss of their star tight end. Red zone performance faces heightened scrutiny without Kelce. Traditionally, he has been the primary target near the end zone, converting critical opportunities with size, agility, and precise route running. The Chiefs must now implement alternative strategies, emphasizing motion, running backs, and creative formations to maximize scoring potential. Mahomes' ability to identify defensive mismatches and adapt quickly under pressure is crucial in these situations. Backup tight ends and receivers are now tasked with converting high-pressure plays into touchdowns. Defensive opponents will aggressively target these vulnerabilities, forcing Mahomes to make split-second decisions while minimizing turnovers. Communication and execution between the quarterback, receivers, and offensive line become vital to protect timing and spacing. Innovative play designs and meticulous attention to situational football are required to sustain drives in scoring territory. While overall offensive efficiency may be impacted, disciplined execution and strategic improvisation can mitigate the absence of Kelce. The red zone now becomes a testing ground for Mahomes' adaptability, leadership, and the offensive unit's collective skill, determining whether the Chiefs can maintain scoring effectiveness despite a critical personnel loss. The offensive line's role escalates significantly with Kelce's suspension. Without a primary tight end to assist in blocking and create timing windows, Mahomes faces increased pressure from opposing defenses. Defensive coordinators are likely to exploit the altered lineup, deploying blitzes and stunts designed to disrupt the quarterback. Linemen must maintain cohesion, balance, and communication, ensuring Mahomes has sufficient time to process coverage and deliver accurate passes. Every missed assignment could result in sacks, hurried throws, or turnovers, magnifying the consequences of losing Kelce. Coordination between linemen, receivers, and the quarterback is essential for maintaining rhythm, spacing, and timing across plays. The line must execute flawlessly against aggressive defensive fronts, compensating for the offensive disruption caused by the suspended star. Their stability will directly influence Mahomes' effectiveness, the ability of secondary targets to perform, and the overall success of the offensive scheme. The Chiefs' offensive line becomes the backbone of resilience, enabling the team to adapt strategically while minimizing the impact of losing one of the league's most dominant tight ends. Andy Reid and his coaching staff face a critical challenge in adjusting the game plan. Play calling must account for Kelce's absence, balancing risk with strategic creativity. Emphasis on shorter, quicker passes, running schemes, and motion formations may be increased to maintain offensive fluidity. Situational scripts and contingency plans will be essential, allowing Mahomes to exploit alternative matchups while managing defensive pressure. Coaches must also focus on morale, ensuring players trust their roles and execute with confidence despite the absence of a key contributor. In-game adaptability becomes paramount, as adjustments may need to occur multiple times per series to counter defensive exploitation. The staff's ability to communicate strategies effectively and instill discipline, awareness, and execution will determine whether the Chiefs can sustain offensive success. Every detail, from protection schemes to route adjustments, influences the team's competitiveness. This suspension forces innovation and strategic precision at every level, testing the coaching staff's ability to respond quickly and maintain cohesion under a crisis scenario that could define the season's trajectory. Posing defenses are poised to capitalize on the Chiefs' offensive disruption. With Kelce suspended, linebackers and safeties can focus on remaining receivers, creating pressure points and increasing interception risks. Defensive coordinators will anticipate route patterns, motion, and play action tendencies, forcing Mahomes into high-stakes decisions. The Chiefs' defense must compensate by controlling field position, limiting scoring, and providing the offense with flexibility. Each defensive stop becomes more consequential, directly supporting offensive adaptation. Teams with disciplined, aggressive defensive schemes will aim to exploit the weakened formation, forcing mistakes and turnovers. Coordination between offense and defense is vital, as every successful stop or turnover can offset the loss of Kelce and provide opportunities for the offense to regain rhythm. Situational awareness, execution, and adaptability on both sides of the ball will define whether Kansas City can withstand external pressure while navigating internal challenges. Defensive performance is now intricately tied to the success of the offense, underscoring the interconnected nature of team success. The suspension tests Mahomes' resilience more than any external challenge. Mentally, he must process increased defensive focus, adapt play calling on the fly, and maintain composure under heightened scrutiny. Physically, Mahomes must compensate for tighter windows and increased pressure on every throw. Leadership, poise, and decision-making now intersect with performance, requiring him to elevate teammates, manage risk, and maintain efficiency. His ability to inspire confidence and communicate effectively determines whether the offense can operate cohesively. Mahomes' resilience will be evaluated through every snap, audible, and improvisational decision. This situation defines not only his on-field capability, but also his influence on team culture, morale, and collective performance. Success relies on his capacity to navigate adversity, redistribute responsibility effectively, and maintain high-level execution under pressure. The quarterback's mental and physical fortitude will ultimately dictate whether the Chiefs can remain competitive despite losing one of their most critical offensive assets. The suspension of Kelce represents a severe test for the Chiefs' offense, but it is not insurmountable. Adaptation, creativity, and execution are essential to sustain competitiveness. Mahomes must lead decisively, connecting with secondary targets, making rapid decisions, and improvising under pressure. The offensive line and coaching